Titans, the Guardians of Metal Entertainment, and here with Parker from Starkill. How's it going?
As well, thanks.
Yeah. So you guys have just recently, probably not recently, but you were now with Century Media, the label. How's the relationship going so far with them?
Pretty awesomely. The album came out April 30th, and we've been working with them for maybe 8 months prior to, and they've been helping us along and getting us on tours like this, so yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
So you had James Murphy work on the latest album with you, and I sort of read on the internet that you gave him sort of creative control, let him sort of take the reins. Was there any concerns when you gave him that sort of control? Because he has worked with Obituary and Testament and Death, so
he's got
a huge catalog.
Awesome past as far as metal goes. I mean, he only mastered it. He didn't do any of the production work. That was more the band's work, and we didn't have an external producer. So when we had everything written and recorded, we kind of knew the caliber of his product he would put out. And we talked to him about a couple albums that we kind of wanted to mimic our sound off of. And I think it was either the first or second turnaround when he did a sample master of the song, and we knew that we wanted him to finish the album. And it turned out pretty great, I'd say so. And
you ended up producing the album, I believe?
Yeah. Largely myself, and then my brother, who's the drummer and our other guitar player, have had a pretty clear vision for the sound, at least on this first album. We've had the material for, in some cases, a couple of years for some of the songs, so we really knew what we wanted to do and didn't want anyone else kind of, altering the sound.
So you've used some keyboards on the album,
yes.
Especially Wash Away the Blood with Rain. I sort of want to get your opinion, especially in the metal scene and using keyboards. Why did you decide to use keyboards on that particular track?
Interestingly enough, that song I actually wrote in a Best Buy. I sat down at a keyboard and just started playing, and a lot of that song came out, and then I went home and re-recorded the whole track on piano and then put the guitars over it. But I don't know, we have a very symphonic and kind of movie score, epic, end of the world theme to kind of all of our tracks, and I don't think you can really get all the way there without a symphonic or keyboard element. And it's also a different way to write songs. When we write, I'm actually tuned to D standard. Our other guitar player is tuned to drop C. Sometimes we switch guitars and come up with completely different riffs. And then if you sit behind a keyboard, your writing style also changes differently. So being a band with so many varied influences, it helps to keep our own sound fresh. And it's just a different take and gets that extra 20% epic feel for what we're kind of going for.
So probably moving forward, with your next album, you're probably going to sort of keep the keyboard.
Yeah, that'll be a constant. It'd be great if we could get more actual live musicians and orchestral stuff. We actually recorded a full snare section on New Infernal Rebirth out in the fields. That was pretty cool. We'd like to do more interesting things like that for the future.
So currently you're on tour with Wintersun. So how are things going on with that?
As awesome as we could have hoped. They've been one of our favorite bands since before we could even, play our instruments. So being able to see them and hang out with them and play for, quite frankly, a perfectly compatible crowd is everything we could have hoped for, especially one of our early tours. This is our second official tour as Starkill, so certainly can't complain.
Yeah. You guys were called Masquerin, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. So why the name change?
We've had a lot of the same material since me and Charlie met in college. We're 23 now, and we met when we were 18, and our drummer was 14. And, even though it's been the same core 3 people, this is still kind of our first band, So we would go through recording quality, improve, get better in chunks. We used to record all of our stuff in my college bathroom, and then as we would improve, we would just change the name, try something else, until we kind of found the sweet spot where we were satisfied. And Starkill versus some of our previous incarnations was more straightforward. People weren't going to accidentally confuse us for trying to be true black metal, which we kind of got in the past with our previous name for being a Norwegian word. And we really wanted people to just focus straight on the music. And that's what's happening now, and people are digging it and understanding it, so
that's great.
We're happy, yeah.
Great. You guys are based in Chicago.
Yes.
Go Blackhawks. I guess.
Right, yeah.
If you like hockey. So what is the metal scene like in Chicago right now? Is it...
It's crappy.
Is it?
Yeah. Not to offend the metal, varieties that there are, but we're not at all into the breakdowny, super low tuning stuff, and that's kind of all that people know when they think of heavy music in Chicago is just breakdown bands, and we're certainly way more European sounding, so we're kind of an outlier in the region, but I think people who are looking for our type of music are excited that there is something so close that sounds like something that's traditionally been so far away.
Right. I kind of wanted to ask you sort of your feelings on music nowadays, either it be positive or negative. Can you give me sort of, what do you feel is wrong with metal today, for example?
It's kind of a double-edged sword for the reason I'm going to list. I think the fact that recording is so cheap now is really cool. I mean, we did all of our demo recording ourselves, and that's how we kind of blueprinted the band. But at the same time, and like, it's opinion-based, who am I to say who's wrong or who's right, but when you get people who can only play one chord, who go out and buy recording software, and maybe they're really good at engineering, but they record garbage, I think there are a lot more untalented people than untalented music people, so the market lately is just getting saturated with stuff that wouldn't necessarily have been there had talent scouts found people. So I think it's just more up to the listener. I think as listeners we need to be more educated and a little more selective in what we're hearing.
Yeah.
But overall I think better opportunities are great for everybody. I mean, also people are discovering what they like more because there's more out there. So.
And that's the positive side of it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. So you're going to finish the tour with Wintersun. You'll still have a bit of 2013 left over.
Right.
What are your plans? Is there, like, thinking about a new album?
Oh, we have a lot of material.
You do?
We write all the time. Like I said, some of the tracks on Fires of Life, which is our first official album, were a couple years old, and we've been writing since then. So we have most of album 2 and album 3 kind of blueprinted already. We're looking into touring as much as we can.
Just getting on the road and getting exposure.
If we could be in the van 365 days a year,
you would.
We probably would, at least for the next couple of years, just to get the name and the music out there.
Are there any bands, I'm sure there's a ton of bands out there, but if you could name a couple bands that you would love to tour with, who would that be and why?
Well, we can mark Wintersun off the checklist now. Mostly just bands that are super compatible with our sound and that we've been hugely inspired by. A lot of people, say, and we'll admit that we kind of wear our influences on our sleeves. Being able to tour with Amon Amarth, Children of Bodom, Arch Enemy, Ensiferum, any of those bands would be a fantastic match. And, a great way to meet cool people and compatible fans.
Absolutely. All right, Parker, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
And have a good show.
Thanks.
All right, cheers.